Welcome back to Rubberneckradio. I'm your host, Scott, and in this episode, I sit down with my buddy Jeremy Smith, the owner of Full Throttle Detailing out of Massillon, Ohio. Jeremy's the man. He loves detailing cool cars, big boats, and providing exceptional service to Northeast Ohio and really all over the country. We talk about products he likes to use and products he doesn't like to use in the shop, and what he looks for when he's hiring a new detailer, and gives him advice for those who want to become a professional detailer. Obviously, we learned his story, how he got to where he is today. And I'm trying something new for this episode. I'm just going straight into the intro. So let me know in the comments below what you guys like. If you like going straight into the intro, or if you like those little teaser clips that I've been doing in previous episodes. Also, while you're at it, make sure you hit that subscribe button here on YouTube, or subscribe on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And you can find Full Throttle's links in the description below. So let's go ahead and jump into this episode with Jeremy Smith of Full Throttle Detailing. So
Yeah.
you just got back from Cape Coral, Florida.
Yeah, Cape Coral.
Right? And you were hauling a huge eliminator boat. Now, I'll be the first one to tell you, like, I don't know shit about boats. I don't know the different kinds of boats.
Yeah.
But this thing is massive, dude. Can you kind of tell us about your recent escapade down in Florida and then finishing up in Cincinnati?
Yeah. So for this specific trip, we had a customer reach out to us just through local friends and being tagged on social media and stuff. He had a 30-foot Eliminator, and it had twin Viper motors in it, big catamaran boat, big power boat.
Like Viper, like Dodge Viper motors.
Yeah, it
What?
had twin V10s in it. So yeah, it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. It's a pretty common thing in those Eliminator boats, and I know DCB kind of runs a lot of those V10 Viper motors, and even Donzi. But it's just kind of a popular option just to do something different, really, and they make some serious power.
Yeah,
That
I'd hope so.
boat's
With
yeah,
two of those, man, that's absolutely insane. So,
yeah.
like, are people like harvesting Vipers that they find in like junkyards, or like how does a Viper motor get in a boat?
So the motor itself is made by Ilmor. It's an
Okay.
Ilmor V10. And the valve covers and everything say Viper on them,
Okay.
but the motor's a little bit different. I really don't know like technical specs and everything, but Ilmor makes like a lot of they make all marine motors basically. When I worked at Mastercraft selling Mastercraft ski boats, they all came with Ilmor motors, and they had like a 5.3, a 5.7, the big 7.4. Now they even come supercharged. So Ilmor
Monsters.
makes a lot of, yeah, Ilmor and Mercury Marine. I'm not even sure if one owns the other or something, but they all make a lot of like mostly GM based blocks for motors, and they all make pretty big power. So I don't think they're like coming out of Viper specifically, but it's a very similar, V10
Sure.
design just
Sure.
for marine application.
That's insane. So, are these guys just like hauling ass up and down the river, hauling ass like up and down, the bays and stuff like that?
Yeah, yeah. Most of
It's
the
definitely not a
most of the
fishing
stuff.
boat.
No, no, you won't see many guys fishing and doing any wake sports or tubing or stuff behind these boats. Most of the time they're meant for just speed runs. A lot of people call them, obviously go fast boats, but they also call them poker run boats.
Hmm.
So there's events all over the country, all kinds of lakes and even some rivers and out in the ocean and whatnot. And a poker run is basically, you have a starting point, you go to a couple different stops, you get a hand of cards, and then you go back and all meet up together and have a big dinner, and it's always a big party too. But that's what most of those boats are doing. They're doing those fun runs, or they're just going out on the weekends, and some of them have some friends they run together, but it's basically go fast to the hangout spot, hang out all day on the water, go swimming and drinking, and then haul ass wherever you want to go next. So
Good for those guys, man. Good for those
yeah,
guys.
it's definitely fun.
Um,
So
So that's actually kind of cool that they reached out to you on social media. Is that how, like, are you running similar runs like that for clients, or what's kind of, is that like a one off thing, or are you doing that quite a bit, or what's that look like?
That's that's kind of our main thing that we do down to Florida and back. Years ago, I had a couple clients, I had a bigger truck and they were like, "Hey, I don't have the time. I know you've got a truck capable of doing it, having a diesel truck." And they just wanted me to take their boat down. And, it was a cool boat. So I took some pictures of it and posted it online. Then it kind of grew just being tagged and everything like that. We kind of even started with boats and then started doing cars and trucks and stuff too. Um, did that for a couple years, and the cars and trucks, there's just so much more that could go wrong. You don't know where you're going, or you have multiple stops. It's just kind of a headache, and I honestly didn't enjoy it as much. Um, but the boats, we haul all kinds of high performance, cigarette boats and center consoles. Um, the go fast boats. We don't really do many of the pontoons or wake boats that far, but most of them are just snowbirds that are up in these northern areas in the summertime enjoying their boat, and then they take them down into Florida in the wintertime. They kind of keep them down there, whether they keep them at a slip or their own house or something like that. They just don't really want to do the drive back and forth, and something, we've found a way to make money with it, but it's something I really just started doing because I enjoyed towing the cool boats,
Yeah, no
going
kidding.
down there and you're able to jump on and ride with a lot of these guys and go out and kind of have some fun. So definitely started as a passion thing, and then we found a way to, kind of monetize it and do pretty well with it.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I definitely, like, if I was driving the rig or driving your truck, and like people are checking out the boat, I'd be like, yeah, well,
Yeah.
definitely mine. No, no,
Yep, yep. Yeah, that's a fun part because, when I was that little kid, I was the one hanging out the window, like staring at the big boats and the
for
cool
sure.
trucks and everything. And like now, some people take videos or honk at you and give you a thumbs up. It's just it's a good feeling. So,
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So I kind of want to turn back the clock a little bit. I know you've shared your story on kind of how you got into detailing with me when we shot that GT 500, which
yeah.
I appreciate you having me on that project. That was a super fun project, and seemed like the client was happy with the overall result. But um, take our audience in the Wayback Machine and kind of talk to us on how you got started in detailing and where this journey started.
Yeah, so it's really just kind of been a forever thing, at least like the whole cars and boats and everything. And I grew up being a car kid. My dad had some cool cars. We always had a boat out on the lake. And that's kind of really where it started, was just, kind of helping my dad wash his cars. And, once I got a little bit older, if I wanted to take the boat out, I had to wax it and everything. So it kind of started with that. And then, when I got my license and I had a couple of cool cars, so I'd always be taking care of those. And then I met a
What
couple.
was your first car? Like, what was your first like memorable car?
The first memorable car wasn't a very cool one, but I remember I had one of those third gen Eclipses that had a 5 speed in it, and I thought it was the coolest thing. The first manual car I had, but I had a pretty sweet SRT4, Trans Am, a couple really cool trucks and everything like that. So I always try to keep them detailed and keep them nice.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
Um,
that's funny you mentioned the Eclipse, because every once in a while I feel like it's like once a quarter where I'll go down the Facebook marketplace rabbit hole and be like, ah man, like Eclipses are kind of cool. Do I want one?
Yeah,
Do I?
yeah. That was my first car, and when I was in high school, and I remember I saved up. I kind of flipped and sold a couple like little side by sides and four wheelers
Yeah.
and stuff, and saved up enough, and one got that, and it had some subs in it, and the 5 speed manual, a little
Yeah, of
exhaust, some
course it had some
wheels,
suds
like
in it.
yeah. So they
Just
had some
rattling
cool.
glass.
Oh yeah, it was ridiculous, but that was the first kind of. I had a lot of good memories from that, cruising around with buddies and just that's kind of my first car with my license. It was like freedom finally, like
Yeah.
let's go cruise. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's
but
awesome. So you started working on like family boats and
yep.
your own cars and stuff like that. When did you start really branching out and working on other people's cars?
So I met a good buddy of mine. His name was Caleb, and he knew a lot about detailing. He didn't really do as much as I did, but he knew a lot more like I was just kind of washing cars and spray waxing them. I didn't really know much.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of knew like the more intricate stuff, like the polishing and then, sealants. And that was even before like, ceramic coatings really became like mainstream popular, if you will. Not many people were talking about them, so we were just kind of early on the train with that. And although they had been out for years before that, it wasn't really
Mm-hmm.
kind of like, mainstream thing. But so I met him and, I started to learn more. And then, people would ask me to, hey, can you wax my boat? Or I'd be like, oh, well, I think your boat actually needs a polish. And then kind of upsell it. And we saw that, okay, there's a way to make some actual money with this. Like, once you offer these more kind of intricate specialized services. So meeting him was definitely played a big role in me, kind of starting the business.
Mm-hmm.
Then after that, it was really just kind of I started on Instagram for fun and would post like before and afters and everything, and then just slowly kind of had clients coming in, and then I worked at a boat dealership for a few years. We sold Mastercraft ski boats, and it's a pretty reputable brand,
Sure.
very expensive brand, if you will. So I would always, I made some business cards and I would give them to the customers. I started there as a detailer, then worked my way up into like a delivery captain position.
Mm-hmm.
So when somebody bought a boat, I was the guy that would take them out all day, show them how to use it. At the end of the day, I could give them a card. Hey, I can clean this for you
That's
too.
awesome.
And that really built up a lot of my clientele.
Yeah, that's a good way to kind of slip that in there. Now,
Yeah.
during this time, were you like doing mobile details, like going to people's houses and working on their cars, or did you have like any shop space at this time? Or are you working out of your garage?
So most of this, honestly, I started this at the time I was kind of moving around and everything. So I got rid of the cool cars and cool
Mm-hmm.
trucks. I had a little 97 Honda Accord and I just packed that trunk in the back seat full and I'd go, I'd either go directly to the people's houses. Um, Occasionally my dad had a decent shop, a little shop space that I could use. On occasion I'd have a car dropped off there, but I did not have a shop space of my own or anything. And I still was working full time at the Mastercraft dealership. It was just kind of a, like a bit of a side hobby, if you
Yeah,
will, some extra side cash. So I didn't really intend on it actually kind of snowballing into something that it's become.
yeah.
That wasn't my idea at the time. It was just kind of, well, this is fun. We work on some cool stuff. Let's post it and show it off. And then, it kind of just grew from there.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the coolest things about detailing is, obviously you have to start off knowing what you're doing. You can't be just, a putz messing up people's cars and stuff. Like you have to actually learn the process, but you can really start out of a Honda Accord, or you could really
Yeah.
start, out of whatever you have, and then invest in the product, invest in the equipment, and just keep building and building and building. What were some of like the go-to products that you used when you first started out?
So when we first started out, man, we were just doing just basic detailing. We weren't really polishing or anything like that. So like you just said, I mean, you can get into it very cheap. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
relatively cheap if you're just doing washes and interior detailing. So, when we first started, we've always used PDP stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right here local to us, Professional Detailing Products, they have their own line of a lot of, the basic chemicals, wheel cleaners, interiors, even kind of like spray waxes and whatnot. So I've been working with them from the start, but then we kind of ventured off and found some other brands. Shine Supply was a big one for quite some time. Um, they had kind of a cool story, a cool culture and whatnot. So we kind of ventured around a little bit. G Technique's another one that we used for a long time. That's when we started using their coatings and everything like that. And then honestly, just kind of the old school stuff, McGuire's, 3M, stuff like that for polishing. That was kind of our go-to was McGuire's. We still use it to this day on a lot of projects.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you is like, what are your thoughts, obvious, good, bad, or indifferent? What are your thoughts on like the mass market type stuff like the Turtle Wax and the Maguires and even like the Chemical Guys type stuff?
Yeah, it's just I personally that's more marketed towards like the consumer versus like a business,
Mm,
application, if you will. The chemical guys, they have some stuff that, pretty much everything out there works decent,
mm,
even the turtle wax stuff. And I've used plenty of chemical guy stuff, even when we're in a pinch sometimes, and it works well. But it is just kind of a mass marketing thing. They'll have 15 different scents of a soap.
right.
And like, so for as a business owner, like I would never carry their products or I would never really use their products or anything because it just kind of almost gets a little confusing.
Yeah,
Um, but some of them work okay. Um, a lot of detailers, I think they need something a little bit more specific, a little bit stronger.
sure.
Um, so I'm not a huge fan of their stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's interesting that you bring that up because, if you go down the car wash aisle at Walmart or, AutoZone or whatever, like you're right. Like there's just so many products that, oh, use this soap if your car's a darker color. Use this soap if your car's
Yeah,
blue. Use this soap
yeah.
if, only use this soap only if you wax on, but not wax off.
Right, it's a little bit overkill. It's just like you said, just kind of like a mass marketing thing. Now you can go down that aisle and, especially if you're sticking with, I'm a big fan of McGuire stuff.
Hmm.
Just about anything you get from McGuire's, if you use it correctly, works pretty dang good. Um, really anything that you get, if you use it correctly, it'll probably work decent, but
You just
yeah.
got to know what you kind of have to
Yeah, you
have to
just
look
gotta
for.
know.
Yeah. So you're getting into the higher end products. You're hustling outside your full-time job at Mastercraft, doing detailing there. You're like a shop captain. Is that the term that you use? I'm sorry.
We called it a delivery captain. So if
Delivery captain. Sorry.
yeah,
Yeah.
if they wanted a test drive or if they
Yep.
bought a boat and took delivery of it, and a lot of that was a lot of marketing stuff and everything too.
So you're doing that for a couple years. When did you decide to like go all in and make that your business, your income, your career?
So at this time, it was really dumb of me because I decided to jump ship over there at Mastercraft in October. And we're in Northeast Ohio, so obviously we've got winter right around the corner. So I didn't really think that one through, to be honest. But at this time, I had a couple good customers that were bringing me a ton of work. There was a couple tow truck companies around me that I would go mobile to, and then a huge shop that I've been working with and alongside since really day one has been Autosport Plus right here in Canton.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Uh, so they even put a water little spigot thing out there out back, and I would go down there all the time and wash all their cars and even customer cars. And they kept, they wanted me to come more and more. So I kind of had those two going on, and I had a decent amount of customers wanting to get on the books to the point where I was kind of pushing them out really far.
Hmm.
And it's not even that I had a bad job or that I was unhappy with my job. I mean, I got to play around with brand new boats all the time and meet some awesome families. So like, really wasn't that at all. It was just kind of just hey, if I'm gonna make this jump, and I've always been kind of I've been a bit stubborn, if you will. I don't necessarily like having a boss. So I kind of just told myself, if I'm gonna make this jump, let's do it now. I've got really nothing to hold me back. Let's just dive into it and see what happens. So that's kind of how there was really no methodical, thought out
Yeah.
planning to it. It was
Yeah.
just kind of an impulse decision one day. But
Yeah.
I knew I had a decent bit of work lined up that I could kind of make it work. So,
That's awesome, man. And so when did you move into your current location there in Massillon?
so we've actually had a few shops since then,
Oh,
or
okay.
before then. My first shop, um, we'll kind of start from the beginning, I guess, to make it easier for me. The first shop I had was that same year that I quit. That would have been in 2018. maybe 2019. I could be wrong, but I got into a shop right in North Canton area, right by like the Strip on Portage.
Mm-hmm.
I had a shop there. It was just kind of a small little three bay door shop. You can maybe fit about six cars in it. And I got that on New Year's. Actually, I spent my New Year's Eve in there remodeling the shop by myself.
Attaboy.
And yeah, it was kind of a cool experience. But had that one for 2 or 3 years. Then I picked up a shop next to it, and I had both of them at for I think a year and a half or so. And then another unit in that the newer spot became available, so I got rid of the original one, and I had those two for I think 2 years or so. And then I moved to my shop in Massillon. So that would have been 2 years ago. I'm trying to think if all that is mathing up correctly, but 2 or 3 years roughly. I moved out there. So
Yeah, no, it's a cool shop. It's an awesome shop, and that's kind of where you and I met.
yeah,
Where I was peddling like gift cards, not really gift
yeah,
cards, like almost like promo cards. And you said you
yeah,
had this
yeah,
GT 500, and I appreciate you again putting me on that project, and
yeah. That
obviously
was a
being
fun
on the
one.
show. Yeah, it was awesome, dude.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
It was a fun.
67 GT 500. It was a beefed up motor. I mean, that
Yeah,
thing was bad.
that thing was bad, man. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll definitely post up some
yeah,
photos
some
of
pictures
this.
from it. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was a good one. So, yeah, this new shop is definitely by far my favorite out of all of them. The other one, we when we had the two middle units, that was pretty sweet because we had two separate spots. So we had like a clean room side.
Hmm.
So all the like, any of the tint or the PPF and ceramic coatings, all that, we were able to keep that side very clean. There wasn't a lot of commotion, even like real dusty polishing we wouldn't do over there, just like finish polishes. And the other side, we did all the washing and detailing in, and that really, you know kept things much easier. That's kind of my only gripe with this new shop. But as far as everything else goes, this new shop's got the big doors for all these boats and
Yeah.
RVs and
Yeah, it's
a lot
perfect.
more space outside. So it's definitely sweet.
Yeah, it's definitely perfect. I'm interested to know, and you kind of talked about the services that you offered with tinting and the paint protection stuff. Like, what is your process when you bring in a new car? Like, what's the detailing process from start to finish?
So it really just depends on what the service is, what they're getting, because we do offer a number of different services. But pretty much everything starts with just your standard prep wash, or a ceramic maintenance wash. And that just kind of consists of your exterior detail, an engine bay if it's going to get one, wheels, tires, decon washes, clay bars, stuff like that. Just getting the car just kind of ready and in the shop clean. That way we can either if it's just a regular detail, we can just kind of do our final wipe, ceramic maintenance stuff gets a booster applied, or if it's going to get polished, we can, strip the paint completely and then kind of like assess what is going on, what we're going to need to do. That's kind of how we start every project. Then move into, just the interior. That way, if it is getting coated or tinted or something like that, um, we're working with a clean area.
Hmm.
You know,
How did you how did you learn how to put like the new coatings on and tinting and stuff like that? Like, detailing's like a very hands-on job. So did you have like a couple test cars when you were learning those kind of add-on processes?
Yeah. So tinting is actually not something that I do myself. I can tint a window all right, but I honestly just hate tinting. It's not my thing. Um, so most of that tint work gets subbed out. I have a guy that works for us now that, has a pretty good knowledge of tint. So I don't personally do that, but that is kind of how we started offering the tint was just kind of, I sent out a Snapchat to a handful of my friends and I said, hey, we're doing some tint now. We want to add it as a service. You guys want to jump on the schedule? We'll give you a killer deal. It's not going to be perfect. We're going to practice.
Mm,
And that's kind of how we started with it. But even with the coatings and everything, either A, we tried them on our own cars, or B, I had a couple customers that were pretty cool and we kind of hey, we'll give you a decent deal. Can we try this on there? And
Sure.
a lot, most of what I've learned is pretty much self-educated. YouTube, YouTube,
Yeah.
school of YouTube, and
Yep. I've
stuff
been
like
there,
that.
man.
And knowing some friends and everything. So I've never, besides for our Modesta coatings, and then a little bit of PPF training and everything, I've never really done any of the, you know, the detailing schools or anything
Right.
like that.
Right.
So,
I think I one thing that I've noticed about tinting over the last like 5 to 10 years compared to the late '90s and early 2000s. Now, I grew up in Southern California, where the sun's out way more than here in Northeast Ohio. But
oh
it seems
yeah.
like it seems like back in the day, dude, like tints were turning purple and bubbly, and I just don't see that anymore. Do you have any thoughts on why tints were so shitty back then compared to now?
Yeah. Honestly, it's the same thing with like the paint protection film and the, clear bra is what a lot of people like,
Mm-hmm.
old school people call it. It's the same idea with that because that stuff used to yellow and crack and
Mm-hmm.
peel and whatnot. And if it's left on there long enough, depending on the brand and how old it is, it can still kind of just, not look too hot, if you will. But I think film technology has just came so far, even with the tint, the PPF coatings, and everything. I mean, that's why, like, when you get kind of an old school guy that comes in, oh, well, I used to get this done for $150. It's like,
Yeah.
well, this has all come so far. And I mean, the technology that and the research and development that these companies put into all these different products, I think we're just working with a much better product than they were, back in the 90s, early 2000s. Um, yeah, I think that's kind of all it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, because I remember my mom. I grew up in like the San Bernardino area, and I remember it was like a like one bay type of shop, and
Yeah,
she got her. I think it was like a 2002, 2004 like Jeep Liberty. My mom had the worst scars, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I got my windows tinted for like $75." I was like,
yeah,
so I remember that, and then I was looking at getting my truck tinted, and I got an estimate for like 350, 400. I was like, oh my god, dude, like
yeah,
where's that $75 shop at, man?
yeah, yeah. And a lot of it, with the film being better products, it is a lot more expensive. And
For
like,
sure.
these new films, they actually have, back in the day, at least from what I remember and what I know, there wasn't really a whole lot of difference between like the just standard carbon film and these ceramic films that actually like block the heat and everything.
Mm,
And like those ceramic films are much more expensive, but they work so much better. My truck has the whole windshield done, and we've been driving in Florida all day long, put my hand up on the dash, and it's cool. Like
yeah.
it's pretty incredible how advanced that film really is.
Yeah, that's it's insane. It's insane to kind of see the evolution, even from an outsider's point of view of
Yeah,
it. You mentioned using Modesta products, and if you go on your Instagram or social media, you guys seem to use those products quite a bit
yeah.
for your jobs. Can you kind of tell us what you guys like about them? Why that brand? What do they got going on?
So the biggest reason that we decided to really go with Modesta over a couple of the other companies we had been using and had tried, was their exclusivity was a huge one for us.
Oh,
We were using G Technique for a lot of stuff, and the PDP ended up bringing them on as a line. And, excuse me, you had to
no
be
worries.
accredited to get like their actual professional line,
Oh wow.
but pretty much anyone could pick up their kind of entry level lines. You could just go to the store and buy it. So we started running into some issues where, we didn't decide to get accredited with them to get their like the main big dog coding, if you will.
Yeah, what is that? What is
Um,
that accreditation process? Like, what is that process?
Basically just either having them come to you, like when we got accredited with Modesta, they came directly to us. One of the heads of Modesta came to our shop, He's actually spent 3 days with us. We did some film training too with him, but he
Oh wow.
essentially just showed us how to, how to prep the properly, how to apply the coating, because some of them are applied a little bit different than others. Just kind of, just gave us a little class on it essentially. Some places make you go there. I know like
Mm,
PDP actually has classes at their facility for G Technique to, give the people the accreditation. So it's really just kind of a class on how to use the product. It's pretty simple, but we found that even the guys that were accredited were kind of finding that, well, this coding just got everyone has access to it. So there's a lot of kind of fly by night guys and a lot of these just kind of not super reputable shops that are using it and throwing the name out there. And then the customers are like, well, I can get the same product over here way less. It was just an argument that we were kind of tired of having, if you
sure.
will.
Sure.
Um, so I started doing my research. We tried a handful of other ones, and Modesta, you actually couldn't even try their product. You kind of just had to sign up with them and take their word for it. And he flew out and kind of gave us the class and everything. And um, since then we've been super happy with our decision. John is kind of the main guy at Modesta. He basically runs Modesta North America because it's a worldwide company.
Were they
And
based out of here in North America?
I believe they're based out of his old shop or his shop in right outside of Washington, D.C. I know
Mm,
that's where he's from, and I believe that's where their, kind of their distribution center is. But it's not a very, it's not like it's not a huge facility or anything like
hmm.
that. It's not like some of these other brands and everything. Modesta only has, I think they only have a couple hundred installers in the United States.
Oh wow. So
Yeah, I
that's a
think,
pretty exclusive
yeah,
pool that
yep,
offers their pro line stuff.
yeah. I think there's only three or four other guys in Ohio, maybe five in Ohio that have access to the coding whatsoever, and you have to be accredited to even order like the maintenance products or anything to do with
Mm,
Modesta. That
yeah.
was really our reasoning was, hey, we have, not anyone can have access to this stuff. And to the customer, they're like, okay, well, it must be pretty good then.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. I mean,
So,
that's got to be a huge selling point for the customer and obviously for you guys.
yeah.
Um I kind of want to transition cuz it sounds like it came out of a guy's shop in DC, and if you go down car detailing TikTok, Jesus. Uh TikTok or Instagram or whatever, it seems that like a lot of detailers are investing in their own products. Is that something that you guys have looked at to come out with your own product line, or what are your general thoughts of detailers coming out with their own product lines?
So, one thing I would just want to clarify real quick, the spot in Washington, D.C. with John is just kind of the North American distribution
Okay.
like center.
Okay.
The coating is manufactured and made and everything in Japan.
Okay.
So
I appreciate that. Yeah.
yeah, it's made over there. It's one of the only coatings that are, to my knowledge and everything, it's one of the only coatings that are actually kind of handmade and hand bottled and everything. Because it is such a like a
Sure.
limited access. So, but I've never really been interested in that. I know a lot of people do it, but it's kind of one of those things where, in my opinion, the companies that we're using, they have the budgets to put all this
Mm,
research on and all this R&D and everything to make these products actually work really well. That's not something I'm not good with chemistry or anything like that. So
yeah.
I don't think it would be something, one, that I would be super passionate about, and two, that it wouldn't just kind of end up being another just kind of private labeled just product on the shelf, if you will. So
Right.
it's not something that I think I would be interested in. I know there's a couple of good companies, Shine Supply. We used to order a lot of stuff from them. Just kind of became a little pricey for a commercial operation, but even just personal stuff, we order stuff from them, and he started out of his garage, and he makes a great product. So
Yeah.
it's kind of one of those things where I just don't think I'd be very passionate about it. I'm more passionate about like towing the boats around and doing the
Hmm.
transport stuff, and so just a little bit different focus for me.
Yeah. And we've talked about you guys being exclusive for Modesa's like professional line, and having that as a separator to potential competition, or comparables even in town. And there's a ton. You go to any decent sized city, and there's going to be a handful of detailers, and they all do good work. And there's obviously some that are just starting out, and the quality might not be as good. Excuse me. How do you kind of separate yourself from some of the competition, like here in town, or even in the greater like Northeast Ohio area?
I think we're really thankful for having awesome return customers.
Mm,
Over the past, 8 to 10 years or whatever, I've been kind of, since I guess started handing out business cards. Um, I've had so much of our customer base is just word of mouth and return customers. And when you have a strong enough kind of foundation like that, it's really hard for them. I've got guys I've been taking care of for 10 years.
mm,
So, as long as we obviously continue our quality of work and whatnot, a lot of those guys aren't just going to up and go find someone else. So, one, it's building that good foundation, and then we kind of have that work for us. So those guys are constantly telling their friends, we get them to essentially be raving about us, posting pictures
yeah.
and everything like that. That's kind of how we separate ourselves, I think, is just getting our customers to bring in referrals and do the work for us a lot of times. And
Yeah.
then I think a lot of it too is just kind of, we've kind of built a cool little community of customers and friends. We do our boat show. You were able to come hang out at
Yeah.
that for a while, and that was kind of we got a taco truck and music. It's kind of a little bit different than a normal car show. We try and like cultivate that community feeling, if you will. We get a lot of our customers connected, so I think that plays a big role in it too. But there are a lot of great shops out there. There's a lot of great shops around us too. It's kind of detailing from what I remember back in the day. There wasn't shops all over the place like there is now, or pop-up guys
Hmm.
all over. So we don't really go out of our way to kind of, I guess, separate ourselves. We just kind of do our thing and share how we do stuff, and kind of let our results, speak for themselves, and it's done pretty well so far.
Yeah, yeah, no, I think that car show and boat show was really cool, man. You got to see all sorts of different stuff, and you also had a couple of other companies out there, Two
Yeah,
Brothers, Rose Motorsports, and stuff like that out there, and the taco truck. I think that's a really cool way to bring in your community. And every time that I've come by the shop, like there's dudes hanging out, you know,
yeah,
and that
yeah,
kind of speaks for itself, for the community that you guys have built and continue to build.
yeah. Yeah, we've definitely, a lot of those guys that were at the boat show and everything, our customers ask all the time, hey, do you have a good guy that can respray a panel or work on my boat or something like that? So we've built, this network of people that we're able to refer people to, and then, we just kind of bounce work between each other. We've all become friends.
Hmm.
And, if you're the guy that's sending the customer to a few other people, and he's having great experiences with all them, you kind of they start to trust you. You kind of turn it into a little bit more of a friendship, more than a customer base, if you will.
Hmm.
So yeah, there's always, when guys drop stuff off, a lot of times there's a lot of them, will kind of stand around and be talking and hanging out for a few and talk about new cars they got and everything like that. So it's a lot more than just, kind of just a business interaction, just handing the keys or handing the receipt and whatnot.
Yeah.
We kind of know a lot of these guys, pretty well. Going to a guy's wedding this weekend that I met through detailing, and he
That's
does all
huge.
my yeah does all my work on my diesel stuff, FTK Diesel and Boardman.
Shout
Yeah, I
out
met,
FK
yeah,
FTK. Yeah.
yeah. Met him just detailing stuff, started washing his trucks, and he going out to his shop, and he's sent us a bunch of customers. He's always done my diesel work and everything, and started as a customer, and that has grown into a really good friendship. So I think that's definitely something that sets us apart from a lot of other shops that are just kind of
Yeah.
transactional.
Yeah, yeah, 100%, man. So we've kind of talked about like the basic process for cars. I'm interested to know like what the process is for cleaning these boats up and getting them water ready. Obviously, you've got to worry about the clear coat. You also have to worry about if these guys are going out into salt water and stuff. So like how do you shift your process from cars to boats?
Yeah, so it's basically a whole different tool, like chemical arsenal, if you will.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of boats actually aren't even clear coated. Some of them are. Some of them, especially when you get into the ones that have these crazy paint jobs and whatnot. A lot of boats and even RVs are, get these crazy paint jobs. Those are clear coated, but a lot of like factory style boats, most of them are gel coat. And gel
Oh,
coat's a
okay.
yeah, it's a totally different ball game than a clear coated car or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Um, Gel coat, you can think of it as like a sponge where it's porous.
Okay.
So it's got little pores in it that kind of suck in the dirt and everything like that. So that's why when clear coat fails or gets oxidized, it kind of just fades out a little bit, but it's still fairly smooth to the touch, if you will. It just kind of looks hazy. But when gel coat kind of oxidizes, it feels chalky and it loses its
Mm,
reflection. So both the processes are the same as far as like correcting that when it's polishing. Whether it's a clear coat or gel coat, you're just kind of removing and cleaning that top layer. But it's just a little bit different, products that we're using, just specific compounds and polishes that are meant for gel coat versus clear coat. The cleaners, there's a lot of different acids that are being used with boats, especially boats that sit in the water. They get, some crazy like live growth on the bottom. So there's different ways that we have to like neutralize that and whatnot. So it is quite a bit different. Um, I, I I wouldn't recommend if you have only worked with cars to just jump into a boat without doing some research first because you
sure.
can kind of screw it up and vice versa. But yeah, it's definitely a little bit different. Um, it's a little bit easier in the fact that it's just, most of the time it's just wide open panels that you're working on when it comes to polishing. There's not a lot of little tricky, intricate parts and whatnot, but it's also a lot heavier work. You're using big rotaries and wool pads and everything and just mow down that oxidation, even wet sanding. So it's kind of a different ball game. So,
All right, let me ask you this. What do you like working on better, cars or boats?
um, boats are definitely way more profitable.
Sure.
There's a lot of money in boats for sure. I don't know, man. It really depends on the specific project. If I just had to do it as kind of a blanket statement, I would probably say the cars, just because I'm doing like PPF on some cool cars and stuff like
Mm,
that. Cars I can kind of get in and sit around and everything. The boats, though, if it's a really badass boat, then that's kind of something where I'm a big boat guy. So
yeah.
that's a tough question, man. I don't know that I necessarily like one more than the other. So
Very, very political of you. Very political of you. We like them all. Send them all
Yep.
our way.
Yep. Yeah, anything cool. If it's a badass car or a cool boat or truck or something, yeah. I'd take working on something cool than just kind of regular traffic any day.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get that. I get that. Is there, has there been any projects that, boat or car wise, where you're like, oh man, this thing is almost like beyond repair, or, like what's been your most like difficult project that you've worked on?
Oh man, that's a good one. Um, that's a tough one. I mean, we've definitely had like old cars that have come in where the paint's just so far gone that,
Yeah.
it's kind of one of those things where it's like, okay, how much material, I'm going to take off a lot of material. I'm going to jeopardize how long this paint's going to last at all.
Yeah.
So it's kind of not worth it. And even interiors and stuff like that. But, um, I've even had, newer boats. We had a brand new 2025. It's a statement center console. It's almost $1 million boat. It's got triple 400s on the back. It's 35 foot. It was the Lamborghini blue one that was in our
Oh, yeah,
in
that
the
thing was
shop.
badass.
Yeah, it was incredible, but they painted these motors to match, and it was a brand new motor, and the paint job, the prep was just so bad. So when we were trimming some of the PPF and everything, it started to kind of like, peel a little bit off, and then there was already nibs and stuff. There was a ton of issues before the PPF, and then the
Oh,
PPF kind of even brought up a couple more issues. So like there was a couple times where we've had even new stuff, and we're like, oh no, this needs like repaired, like this
yeah.
needs resprayed or something like that. So
Yeah. How do you navigate that conversation with the client where, I'm assuming they're thinking, we're going to get a pretty good idea of the services offer, and then you call them like, brother, it's a
yeah.
lot worse than we thought. Like, how do you navigate that conversation?
So I think we try and get in front of that before anything, so we don't necessarily have to have a hard conversation. We
Mm,
try and set expectations going into stuff. One of the biggest things with detailing is nothing's ever totally perfect, but the
mm,
customer always some customers expect it to be totally perfect. When it comes to like window tint and stuff like that, like it's kind of normal to have like a little speck or two here and there, like one to two specks in a window, or maybe one little air pocket, as long as it's not in a major line of sight or anything like that. It's pretty standard for most jobs. Even paint protection film, there's going to be lines where it can't necessarily be wrapped around the edge or something like that. Like you'll see it on the car, so it's just not perfect. It's meant to
mm.
protect it. So we try and set expectations up front with the customer, stuff we could potentially run into, stuff that we notice that is wrong right off the bat. So for that instance, with that boat, we had been communicating with the customer for a week or so. I actually noticed it because I picked that one up in Florida too at the statement factory, and I noticed it when we were leaving the factory and let the customer know.
Whoa.
So it was one of those things where I was way ahead of it. And then as we were, polishing on it, I've got a whole log of pictures and everything we've sent back and forth. And so he was well aware of the issue. And I kind of explained, like, hey, I've already seen a couple spots where I see some issues. If we put the PPF on here, this is something we could potentially run into. And he still gave it the go ahead. He definitely wasn't upset with us by any means, but it was
Yeah.
kind of one of those things where he's like, "Well, see what happens. I want it done. If they got to redo it, they got to redo it." So
That's
the best
insane that it
way,
came off the factory line, like kind of boogered up.
yeah. So I'm not sure exactly who repainted it. Most of those
Sure.
Mercury racing motors come black, and they painted these that Lamborghini blue to match the boat. So I
Mm,
don't know if it was a local shop down in Florida, if it was the
whoever.
actual
Yeah.
factory, but yeah,
Yeah.
it just wasn't it was just kind of they did that on a early Friday or something.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Trying to get out for the weekend.
yeah. So, but the best way is just to kind of over communicate the expectations, and then kind of just, don't wait until it's time to pick up the job and, oh, hey, by the way, this and this went wrong.
Mm,
That's a much harder conversation to have.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I've
That's
I've
that's
learned
gotta
that
be
the hard
tough.
way. I've definitely learned that the hard way. There was a few
Yeah.
jobs that, I've had, I kind of, beat around the bush, or I didn't address it correctly or soon enough, and then I had to have that hard conversation. So we learned to
Yeah.
just kind of set the expectation, and then keep communication.
Yeah. Now you've got yourself a pretty decent team there at Full Throttle. I know Ethan. You mentioned you've got your tent guy that you're working with now. For anybody that's listening that wants to get into detailing and obviously like isn't at the point of starting their own shop, like what do you look for when you're hiring for your team to work at Full Throttle? Like, what are some recommendations for men and women that are interested in getting into detailing and maybe looking for their first jobs?
Um, I would when I'm looking for someone to hire, I'm really just kind of looking for character traits. I'm just looking for someone that has kind of a positive attitude. Within the first week or two of them working there, I'm kind of, me and the guys that, since the guys work one-on-one with them a lot more than I do, um, they're just kind of assessing, does this guy have the attention to detail? Is he kind of meticulous about things? Can he pick up directions quickly? Is it something, we've got checklists and sheets and whatnot. Is it something where he can just look at that, or is he constantly stopping work to ask the other guys? Um, so it's really not even necessarily having the knowledge of how to detail or how to coat
Mm,
or something like that. Sometimes that's even a bad thing. Sometimes if people are taught the wrong way and they're set in their ways, it's really
mm-hmm.
hard to break that. So I almost prefer someone that doesn't have the experience. They just kind of have a passion for the industry and the cars and working on cool stuff, and then yeah, just kind of good character traits and some attention to detail. That's kind of what I look for personally.
Yeah.
I would tell anyone that's looking to get into a detail shop or even start their own is go out there and really detail your own car, or some of your family's car, and stuff like that, or find a job where you can do the entry level detail work where they'll train you and just kind of do that, the entry level work. Because a lot of people
Yeah.
jump into detailing thinking they're gonna be ceramic coating and doing all these crazy jobs to all these
Right.
high dollar cars and boats and stuff like that. And it's like, some people do. Sometimes they have the customer base, but most of the time you kind of got to grind it out for a couple years and be doing the minivans and the work trucks and stuff that aren't as glamorous. That's where a lot of people, they just kind of lose that motivation, and they give up. So I would say try it out first before you know really jump too far into it.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting point and a great point. Because the algorithm definitely has my attention on detailing. I love watching
Yeah.
detailing stuff, and it's always badass Lambo, badass
Right.
Ferrari, some like six figure cars, but nobody's showing the 2016 like Nissan Sentra.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's what you need to kind of cut your teeth on.
yeah. Even
And so,
even you look at our social media, and we've got, I mean, we even have some people ask, like, do you work on like just normal stuff? Because most of the
mhm,
stuff that's posted is, newer vehicles, high dollar stuff, or custom stuff and everything. We're not posting all of what we're working on. We've usually got a full shop every day, and it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Some of
right.
them are, some real beaters, unfortunately. So sometimes we've gotten better about kind of turning some jobs away. We have, you know, crazy. We're down for any kind of paint work. As far
Mhm.
as like paint corrections, if something's real swirled up or if it's not scratched to where it needs repainted, we love a good challenge like that. But like when it comes to interiors that are all stained or like any sort of vomit or anything like that, man, we don't even entertain it anymore. But
Yeah.
sometimes that's what you got to be doing to start.
Yeah, there's this dude on YouTube who is based out of like Saskatchewan, Canada, and he has like some of the nastiest stuff, dude. Like
I think
just
I've seen his stuff.
yeah, like candy that's melted in,
Oh yeah,
cigarettes, like
yeah,
dude, like you could run a petri culture in there and probably find some new bacteria and stuff. So
yeah,
I mean, if you
yeah.
if
Not a
you're down
fan.
to yeah, if you're down to get down with the nitty gritty, by all means. But
Yeah, yeah. It's
some
definitely
of that
something
stuff's
we try and pass up on.
yeah. No, I got a guy down the road that would be
Yeah,
perfect for your car, man.
yeah.
I'm all
Seriously.
booked up. all
Yeah.
booked up.
And we've even had some where we've kind of given the please don't book with me price, and they've jumped on it, and they're stuck doing it. You're like, oh man,
Oh,
should have just not even given a price.
yeah. I'm interested to know, like, what does Full Throttle look like in the next like year, 5 years? Like, what's the next steps? Because obviously, before we hit the record button, you've got your mobile detailing van, which is badass. Like, it rivals the 18's van.
Thank you.
Yeah. You've got that kind of kick started. You're doing the boat stuff. Like, what's the next step for you guys, other than doing more cars, doing more boats?
Yeah. Um, so one thing we really want to grow and kind of add to everything. Honestly, it's something I struggle with because they always say if you niche in small, that's where the profits really are. And you don't want to offer a bunch of different stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm a very I'm a very shiny penny kind of guy, so that's why I've kind of gone on these different ventures and everything, and
Yep.
kind of got it narrowed into a couple that are pretty profitable. We're good at it. We've got the client base for it. So one of those is definitely, adding and ramping up our mobile services, both for just right now it's kind of exclusive to just our ceramic coating customers. So we'll go out there and just do basic washes and stuff. Some of it is for like RVs and boats and stuff like that, the bigger money jobs. So we definitely, I'd like to get another unit, possibly two on the road within the next few years, have
Mm-hmm.
a couple vans on the road. And then big move for us within the next ideally within the next 1 to 3 years, is going to be moving into a different shop, building our own shop. Um, we've got a storage unit that we store a lot of boats and RVs in, but it's about 40 minutes away from our location. So when winter comes, it's hard to move this stuff back and forth. So we really want to combine the two of those. Get rid of the storage unit, get rid of our shop, and just build a big facility that'll kind of get rid of our slow season when we do have one, if we've got a bunch of stuff stored, and just kind of add to the services that we kind of offer. So that's kind of just what it looks like for us. Just um, you know, just kind of keep building, keep adding to the team, building a
Yep.
good network and everything like that, and then kind of being. I guess our goal from the beginning was to, obviously be a detail shop, but I've always liked the idea of a concierge service.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what we really do big time with these boats is it's just kind of, and I'd be fine with it just being concierge for the boat stuff. But, we've got customers where each year we store the boat for them, um, or arrange storage for them if they already have a place. And then we will pick up the boat. We even go as far as de-winterizing it. We'll transport it wherever it needs to go, whether that be a local lake here or all the way to Florida. Um, we fuel it up. We've even got some customers that pay us to put the boats in the water and take them over to their dock for
Oh
them.
wow.
Then we kind of store the trailers for them in the summer. Um, so we've always kind of liked the idea of being a concierge style service.
Yeah.
And then same thing with like the mobile detailing. Our customers, they bring us these nice cars, the ceramic coat. A lot of our coating customers have multiple cars that they've had done with us. So if we can send out a van to their location, a lot of these guys are business owners and stuff. They don't have time to necessarily run up to the shop and drop stuff off. So we can kind of give them that, at your doorstep service with that mobile stuff that would really kind of build that concierge service and whatnot. And then we're able to offer all of those services to one customer instead of having different customers for all these different services, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. That's
Yeah.
a
No.
really,
Yeah. No. That's really in depth, man. I appreciate you sharing that with me, and I think just kind of again looking from the outside in, especially here in Northeast Ohio, where you're able to offer these concierge services and offer these other services, is it kind of takes the burden out of the quote unquote off season for cars. Everybody's putting up their cars in mid October, early November,
yeah,
and I got to imagine that's a hard off season if you're just, focusing on the detailing. Like,
Yeah.
is that something that you guys still have to navigate, or like, what does the off season, or cold season look like for you guys?
Yeah, so that's definitely something, the past couple of years we haven't had a problem with it at all. But th this past year was actually a pretty rough winter for us between the
Mm-hmm.
election and everything. This election had tensions real high. People weren't really, eager to spend money, and then the actual weather itself, just getting stuff around wasn't easy at all. But a lot of our customers we can kind of go mobile to, which definitely helps a lot. And then we've got an enclosed trailer, so we transport cars. So there's a lot of customers that, if they want their projects done, we'll bring take our trailer out there and pick up the car. It's enclosed and everything, and take it back. So that's definitely a huge help in the winter. But
Yeah.
um, that's when a lot of times that's when our customer base comes in handy, because we have all these guys that, especially the guys that have been with us for years, if they're buying stuff, they'll use it in the summer, and then, hey, it's winter time. Now you're kind of slower with the, walk-in customers, if you will. Let's knock
Mm-hmm.
out some of these big projects we want to do. So,
No, that's cool, man. That's cool. Yeah, that's always something that I've kind of been curious about, within the automotive industry here in Northeast Ohio. Like I said, I grew up in Southern California. There's no winter, there's no snow,
right.
and even for me, like photography wise, um, I do a lot of stuff, for like Bring a Trailer. I just did a shoot last week for Meekum Auctions. I've
Yeah.
got I've got a shoot lined up for this Friday, the 4th, for a guy that's selling on Cars and Bids. But like during the winter, like nobody's selling, nobody wants
Right.
photos.
Right, it definitely makes it tough. So we've uh we've done a lot. We did a handful of work with another shop called Coastal Yacht Detailing this past winter, and they do a ton of big boats up in Lake Erie, like the Sandusky area.
Okay.
And that's one of those things where that's his busiest season is up there, because all the boats are
Mm,
out on the water all summer. He's not really doing much to them. That's their slow season. So in the winter, he's got numerous big facilities where they'll squeeze these. I mean, we're talking. We do a lot of like inland lake boats and like some performance
mm-hmm.
boats. We're talking like 80-foot long, 14-foot wide cruisers, like just some wild. I mean,
Yeah.
we just were talking and go back and forth about a project that he's got coming up. We're gonna jump in on, that's on an 80 or 75 or 80-foot long, like 20-foot wide perishing.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
and it's full body XPEL on everything, window tint on everything, coating everything, like massive, massive project. So because he's got those all stored right there, he's able to work on them. We're gonna
Yeah,
kind of replicate that with our new shop, so we've got, kind of a backup of projects to work on if it is a bad winter. Because otherwise you can definitely have a slow month real quick.
for sure. For sure. Yeah,
So
and that GT500 that we've mentioned a couple times, that was like the first car of the season, and thankfully like we had some mild weather for
it
that
was
shoot. And
cold
for the
though.
man, it was cold. I
It
was
was
freezing. Like
freezing.
my yeah, like I felt bad, because those, like, especially for Bring a Trailer, they want, at
Yeah,
least
so many.
120 photos, and so like that's a 2 hour shoot
Oh
where I'm
yeah.
booking it, and I felt so bad, man, because I looked over you like,
Oh yeah, I was sitting
so
there. I
like,
was I was like
how many more we
sniffling and
got left?
everything. Yeah, snot running down my face. I'm like,
Yeah.
man, this wind is brutal.
Yeah,
So
it was a rough one, but even then that was a mild weekend,
right.
or a mild day, and then it was like another like month and a half until I got the opportunity to go shoot over at like Wayne County Speedway, and a couple
Yeah,
other clients that
that
were.
looks sweet.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, that
It's
looked real sweet.
that's been a fun kick in the pants, dude. Like I
Yeah,
really appreciate like Port Chop and Jason. Those are the two guys that run the speedway, and I hit them up and I said, "Hey, I'm looking. I've done, car portraits. I'm looking to break into motorsport." And they're like, and sent to my portfolio. They're like, "Yeah, come on down, man. Like we'll have a press pass for you and everything like that."
nice.
And so that's been really fun. shooting that, and getting to meet the drivers and all that type of stuff. Like the highlight for me so far this season was Ohio Sprint Speed Week. So like every day the sprint cars would race at different tracks all throughout Ohio, and it was like a mini series. And so Wayne County hosted it, and I got to shoot that. And some of the guys that aren't the local guys were, some of them just had absolute piss rockets,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah,
shooting that, dude, it was insane. It was fun.
yeah, yeah. That definitely looked a good time. We've done some work for a couple of those. There was a racer. I believe his name was Sheldon. Sponsored by Nas Energy drink and everything.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Hot and Shield, maybe. I'm not
yeah.
sure how
So
you
that's
pronounce his last name.
yeah, Halden Child.
Yeah, Holden Child. That's
Yeah.
it.
So his dad Jack, he, aka the Wild Child, like his dad was like, he's basically like the Tony Stewart of sprint racing. So
Okay.
Sheldon's a dog. His old man was a dog, and
Yeah.
he'll they're based in
They're not
uh
too far from me.
no,
Because we've
uh-uh.
done some detail work for them before. We detailed his bus and then coated a few cars for him and everything. And I remember going out there. He's got a sweet shop, but I know he's an animal behind the wheel. So
Yeah. Yeah, he's an absolute dog. And um yeah, his old man like will hang around the pits and stuff like that, and he's like a local celebrity. And this is really like my first season around
yeah.
dirt racing. Like I've always been dirt curious, and I was talking to uh owner of another car. He's like, "Hey, you know who that is?" I was like, "No." And he's like, "Oh, that's Jack, the Wild Child." I was like, "Okay." And so like I went home and I was like Google him. I was like, "Oh, dude, like this guy's legit." So
Yeah, this guy's a badass.
yeah, it's kind of cool to be able to like see the new up and comers, and then
Yeah.
it's seeing the old school guys and stuff. But
Yeah, we'll have to get a sponsorship out there, put our work with those guys and get a banner up. I'm sure there's some pretty sweet toter homes and stuff that tow those cars around there. We sponsor a
brother,
couple other racetracks.
brother, I'm
So,
telling you, I'm telling you, like that's not a bad idea,
yeah.
because dude, the rigs that these guys are bringing in for their setups, like they're almost spending like half a mil on
Oh,
those
yeah.
rigs and the trailers and stuff, dude. Like I'm
Yeah.
looking around, I'm like, geez, dude, like that rig's more expensive than my house.
Oh, yeah. We did an RV last week, like a private motor coach is what they call them. It was
Hmm.
a Prevost or Prevost or however it's pronounced. Dude,
Sure.
the guy said he spent $1.7 million on it. It's
Insane.
like if you got that kind of money to spend on the unit, you'll pay someone to clean it too. So
Yeah, yeah, no kidding. Yeah, and
yeah,
that's just the transport rig. Imagine like all the tools, equipment, the race car
yeah,
itself,
yeah.
engines. Like it's insane how much like
It's an
money.
expensive sport for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And what's cool about it, like I was talking to Jared Clay on the first episode, and he runs a modified car out of Lima, and he's like, dude, the cool thing about racing is we've got so much money tied up in all these rigs and equipment and tools. Nobody touches it. Like the amount of
Yeah,
respect. It's cool, man.
yeah, yeah. You don't really have to worry about it. I feel like with a lot of racing, obviously there's rivalries and stuff like
For
that, but
sure.
there's a mutual respect with a lot of
Hmm.
the drag race community, autocross, dirt track, even boat racing, the super cat stuff. Like there's kind of a mutual respect and even kind of community feeling to it where everyone's like, hey, we know what we got invested. You got to have a lot
Hmm.
invested. Like we might have rivalries, but we're not gonna go messing with each other's stuff. So
No.
at least that's been
100%.
my experience with most
Yeah.
tracks and stuff like that.
Yep. Yep. 100%, man.
So
Well, I appreciate your time, Jeremy.
yeah,
As
absolutely.
always, dude, I love chatting with you. I love picking your brain on this stuff, and I know the audience is going to get a lot out of this. And
Yeah.
just excuse me, just so people could find you on Instagram and your website. Where can they find you on social media and your website?
Yeah, so our website is just fullthrottledetailing.com. Most of our social media is Full Throttle Detailing, or I believe our Instagram is Full Throttle Details. But it comes right up. Our logo is blue and white, and we post pretty proactively on Instagram and Facebook. Our website's going through an update here pretty soon, so we'll have a whole new website that'll be really cool. We'll have a bunch of kind of blogs and we'll kind of have like a nerdy side of our website too for people that kind of want to nerd out and look at all the specifics of different things and
Yeah.
questions and whatnot. So I'm really excited for that because it'll be a little bit more in depth than just what the service is. Kind
Yeah.
of explain the in-depth stuff, but yeah, that'll be coming soon. We're hoping to kind of jump back into our YouTube and kind of actually take that a little bit more seriously. In the next couple months. We've been just getting some equipment and whatnot and ideas. But yeah, that's pretty much where you can find us on there. So
That's awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show. And if you guys are in the Northeast Ohio area, or if you are listening, you got a badass boat in Florida, call Jeremy up. He'll come get it.
yeah,
He'll take care of it, and then he'll
yeah,
drop it off wherever you guys want.
yeah. I really appreciate you having me on too. This was cool. My first podcast experience, so I definitely had a good time, and hopefully we can kind of jump back on, a little bit down the road and see what's
Yeah,
changed. And
100%. Yeah, especially
yeah,
since when you guys get the new shop and stuff, and
yeah.
always check in with you guys.
Yeah, yeah, we'll definitely do a whole documentation like process on that, the building of the shop and everything like that. And we definitely want to kind of have a whole series of that on our YouTube for that. So
Yeah.
we'll have to get you down for some a couple more projects too. So,
Holler at me.
but
Holler at me.
cool, man. Well, I appreciate it a ton. It was good talking to you.
All right. I hope everybody enjoyed that episode with Jeremy Smith of Full Throttle Detailing. That was a super fun conversation. I love talking with Jeremy, learning about detailing, and obviously you can see that he's got a lot of stuff in the works. So make sure you check out his social media and all the links and stuff in the episode description below. And we will see you on the next episode of Rubberneck Radio. Bye.